Unveiled, Repurpose, Reuse, Renew, featuring Walter Fedician, AIFD PFCI, and Lottie Nyes, AIFD. Sponsored by AIFD Diamond Elite Partner, Cal Flowers.
Wow. Welcome to Chicago and welcome to Unveiled. We're so glad you're here. Thank you for sharing this program with us. We're very excited.
We've decided to show you the 4 seasons of the year because weddings are all through the year, and we decided to also entitle our program Unveiled, Repurpose, Renew, and Reuse. So we're going to show you certainly several different ways to turn things around from our ceremony areas into our reception pieces as well.
And we're going to start with spring.
So spring to me, I think of beautiful gardening varieties of flowers, very natural. I was when I was young, I was a very avid gardener with my parents, with my grandparents. So I really like to see flowers really being used in a natural way. The flowers that we have transported actually from our ceremony area. The arch was over the ceremony area at the hotel for our wedding, and we brought it over here to the reception to show you how it is going to encase our sweetheart table where the bride and the groom will sit during their reception. Some of the pieces on the arch were actually used as decorations that were on the pews as well, so they are very easy to transport in the floral cages with the oasis that keeps the flowers lasting very long. And they certainly can become part of the table decor, or we certainly can use them as little trims on the chairs. Since our setting is so rustic, the natural moss is very pretty and very, very lovely to work with. We just covered very nice wooden chairs, and I like the look of the roots that we have made too. These are just very easy to do. They're handcrafted by hand with some Spanish moss and a little bit of floral tape, and we just wound it around there very nicely and hit it with a little bit of glossy wood tone that kind of turns a little bit of the white tape into some brown, and it gives a little bit of a translucent look, which makes it look a little bit more realistic. So we're going to take this spray from here as well. And that hooks onto the chair. And that gives a nice preview to the dinner for the bride and the groom. Also on the table, thank you. Also on the table, we've repurposed the floral bouquets. The little flower girl pomanders are added into the table decor as well. These beautiful little spray roses. The little handles are little jewels, little necklaces that the bride is going to give to the flower girls as gifts as well. So they are the handles that turn into the pomanders for the little flower girls to carry. And we just tuck them into the centerpiece, and it really adds a nice touch to it as well. And then obviously the bridesmaid is a little bit larger, and I just wanted to show these beautiful garden roses that we have here. It's a beautiful peachy shade, which really plays off very nicely against the purple of the Phalaenopsis orchids as well.
And all of these jewels were collected by, a lot of them were my grandmother's, her rhinestone jewelry and all of her little jewelry that she had, and also Walter's mother's best friend. So we collected a lot of wonderful old jewelry for this.
The arch that we used here is a very sturdy metal arch. It comes apart in 2 pieces. So it's props that have been used and reused. We use them several times at my work job as well. And we get it in and out very easily. Although, like I said before, all the pieces are done in the floral cages that have been attached to the structure. We used a real nice brown barked wire that kind of really adds a nice touch to it. You certainly could do it very loose and very natural, just with the willow and the amaranthus, but we really wanted to showcase some of the beautiful garden flowers that we were given by our sponsor, Cal Flowers.
Also, I want you to talk about the chairs, what you used on them, because you used several different
There is a moss mat that works very well. It's already nice green moss. It's on a not a plastic backing, a little bit of a netting that makes it very easy to work with. And then some of the sheet moss as well has a little bit of a different green texture, so it blends in there very nicely. Some honeysuckle vine adds a nice little touch to the roots as well. And I really wanted it to look like the chairs have just grown right out of the earth with those man-made or handmade roots. The first flower shop that I worked in, I have to say that the woman that owned the store taught me how to make that when I was 15 years old. So I really like to share that little handcraft. I like to do those, and it really relaxed me while I was getting ready for the program. There's some of the wire, the roots that are wound up on the legs of the table as well. We decided instead of doing a traditional table with a tablecloth, I thought the marble table had a little bit of a vintage look with the nice wrought iron of the stand. Kind of blends in very nicely with the wrought iron arch. The urn in the background, I wanted it to just look like it was really outdoors in the garden. I didn't want a real full floral arrangement. I wanted it a little bit more natural and really just to showcase the roots. Wanted it to feel like it was outside and had a really nice weathered look, and then all the flowers really have just gathered and kind of circled the arch and makes a beautiful setting for the bride and groom.
Also, you use some permanent botanical succulents on here.
Yes, there's some beautiful succulents that are a little bit of a, almost plastic, but these days you really can't even tell. The tillandsia works in there very nicely. There's a little bit of a dusty miller leaf that we use all the time. The natural dusty miller leaf doesn't hold up as well, but the artificial one really looks exactly like the fresh stuff, and it really adds a nice touch in there. And the drapiness of the amaranthus really blends in very nicely and gives a nice little dimension to it. The cages went on first, and the amaranthus we kind of let drape over the flowers. So it really has a full overgrown look is the look that I was trying to go for.
And there were two girls in the back picking all of those little leaves off the hanging amaranthus. For free.
You know that the amaranthus itself is a lot prettier than the leaves. So we picked all the leaves off so it looks a little bit more clean like that. The candles on the stage are actually the battery-powered candles that we used. Really looks really nice when you can't use the open flame. I know in the city of Chicago you're not allowed to have that, so we use the battery-powered candles as well. Guest tables would be really a nice collection of the silver mercury glass as well, but we would use the mixture of the flowers all through the reception. The gardeny flowers are very nice, but then the beautiful sprays of the phalaenopsis add a nice textural difference and really adds a nice pop of the bright purple color.
Awesome.
Okay.
I love it.
Thank you. So for our bridesmaids for this set, we thought we would do something a little different, not the traditional bridesmaids bouquet. So if we have our girls start to come out, we can talk about what they're going to carry. So, so like I said, I thought we would do something a little different rather than the traditional nosegay or gathered bouquet that the bridesmaids usually carry. These would be great items for proms as well, since they are kind of a little bit more non-traditional. Just a very simple little pocketbook, had a smaller strap to it that Lottie sent me a collection of things that she had on hand. And like she said, the jewels and the beads and everything, we kind of collected from the past year. So we covered it very easily with some of the artificial Dusty Miller on the base of it, and some of the fresh Dusty Miller leaves are over the top. So it really gives a nice fresh look rather than the artificial. The lamb's ear is so pretty when it's fresh, but it doesn't really always hold up as nice. So the artificial works very nicely as well. It had a little bit of a wire in the back. We pulled all that out, and it was very easily glued on to the pocketbook with hot glue. And just trimmed it up with just a little touch of pearls, because we really wanted to showcase this beautiful paisley pin that we pinned right to the center of the purse. The floral trim is just tucked into the sides, some beautiful cream-colored spray roses, and a little touch of some beautiful celosia. It's in a pink tone, which kind of picks up the pink and the cream colors from the girls' dresses and the pink from the tables. Like I said, the little handle before was a little bit shorter, so we certainly lengthened it and took a nice collection of lots of different beads. There's a couple different fits items in there as well, I'm sure, but some beautiful earrings and brooches and things like that, all bound together really nicely with some beautiful gold bullion wire. So it really makes it a nice little bit of a longer handle and a little easier and a little bit more showier for the girls to carry. And the treatment on this is really kind of fun. I thought the begonia leaves are really, really beautiful this time of the year. So we covered the purse with the fresh begonia leaves and the beautiful, the Rex begonia, which has the beautiful pink and green and the cream-colored shades. It really blends in very nicely with the setting. We filled some foam inside and made beautiful arrangement of the phalaenopsis. There's some succulents in there. We have some beautiful green eye roses that came from NorCal for us, and they really kind of pull in some of the cream and green colors as well. You're never really going to match exactly the color of the bridesmaids' dresses like everybody thinks you should. So all the shades, all the monochromatic shades of the pinks and the greens and the rosy shades all blend in very nicely with the look of the begonia leaves as well. And then, I'm sorry, just a touch of a little highlight for our maid's hair is just a little caplet of the fresh begonia leaves as well, and then just a highlight of the beautiful fuchsia-colored phalaenopsis that really makes it stand out. And for our last little fun purse, it's a little pocketbook that has an opening on the side rather than on the top. And since we had such a classic and kind of more glitzy look, I thought something a little bit more natural would be in tune to do with the natural look of the moss. This is some birch slice, not birch slices, birch material that I took actually right off of birch trees, and small little pieces that have been glued right onto the bag. Some of the roots that I fashioned out of the corsage tape and that, fashioned the handle, and we really wanted to keep it very nice and rustic, and then when you open it up, you reveal the beautiful pave of roses. There's some beautiful chain of pearl in there, and then highlights of the dendrobium orchids. They're a little smaller, but they pick up the color of the beautiful phalaenopsis in the arch.
And I have to tell you, where Walter got his birch, it was storming here in Chicago and lightning, and there was a tree outside his apartment building. And I said, "Don't worry, it's okay, it's just raining." And then this bolt hit, and I ran.
So we certainly scurried in fast, but we did a beautiful job with that. So thank you. That's our lovely set for spring.
Now we're going into summer. Summer to me, I always think of hot, well, and it's hot in here. Hot, bright colors, something vibrant. So we thought we'd do something a little subdued for summer. I'd like to start with the big pieces. These were, wow. What it is basically is it's scrap metal that my neighbor had in his hangar, and we welded it together, just put it all together, and it's actually beautiful without anything on it. But I wanted to use the flat cane, so we had some people helping us that worked for days trying to get the flat cane on. There's an opening in the top, and there's also a pole on this one where you can take it apart so you can make it shorter, like the one on the table. And it's just, we used lots of glue dashes. Lots and lots of glue dashes. When we got to the ends, we used glue dash, E6000 glue, and paper clips to hold them together. And then we went back with duct tape, black duct tape, and I know a lot of you came in the flower room and thought it was going to stay black. And then we petaled with the leaf, with the orange, and the inside there's an opening, and we just got a plastic container from Target. Foam fits in there, so that can come out. It is so easy to transport. And I could see these tall ones, having both of them tall at the church, at the altar, and then you could move them to the reception. And either use them on the table or on the floor. These chairs, these chair covers, all it is just a great piece of fabric and hollow foliage and the orchids glued to it, just something a little light, not too heavy. Sorry. And this one, actually, I got this idea from Preston Bailey, I'll be honest. He did 3 fabulous chairs, and I kind of took his idea and decided to try the hollow foliage, and I thought it turned out great. Sue Weiser did that for me. She did a great job. And the chairs are just plain in front, so this wouldn't interfere with anything. Actually, you could take something and hang on the back if you wanted, with flowers. Excuse me. So many times I hear people say, you know, they want their people to buy enough flowers for the ceremony and the reception. Some people don't have the money. So we have to, as artists, we have to come up with new ideas, what you can do to save the money and also save you. And what I've done is I've taken MDF wood, which is very inexpensive, PVC pipe, and an end cap. And you just screw on the end cap and cover it with anything you want, then you've got your bouquet stand for the altar. And there's one. Sorry, I'm walking behind. These are just a couple of examples of what you can do with these poles in different sizes also. So you can take these from the church. These come out very easily. These are so light, and they can go to the reception. They can either sit on the table or on the floor. You could do a grouping of them. And what I like, this spiral effect, I know you've seen it before. I know Hitomi did some. We learned this about 5 years ago in Paris from a Paris designer. And I see everybody doing it, and it is so easy to do. And in your DVD, it gives all the instructions for it, so you know how to do it. And we just experimented with different shapes and sizes. This is a little flower girl, and she has her own little stand. This too, these can all go on the table like this, or they can become part of the table decor. And we're going to make these part of the table decor. Okay. Thanks. What I love about these is we just used a round sphere, covered it with leaves, and pinned it in through the middleino. So you take the pins out, the flowers come out, and they have something to take home, or if you want to rent them, you can use them again. And this is great in the natural. So, very simple. And there's your table.
And in Chicago, we have so many different variety or different styles of churches. There's some churches that are very traditional and Gothic type inside. There's some churches that have beautiful stained glass windows and are very, very modern. So these would be perfect in the church on either side of the altar. That would be a very large, expansive church that would have maybe some mosaic behind it that would pull in these hot, bright colors. So it really has a nice, modern feel against the more traditional gardeny feel of this spring garden set.
And the structure itself, because it is iron, you could leave it outside, it could rust. It would be so beautiful for fall too. This is one without flowers. This is one of the spirals. I just wanted you to see the spiral effect. And now I'm going to throw it. So which side? Which side wants it? I should ask for money. And before my attendants and bride come out, I want to talk about, here's some more stands that were made. I'm going to let you zoom in on this. This was a labor of love. This is all Middlino and flat cane. And all this is the PVC, the MDF, and a T-bar. And you cut off the top, cover up the sides, and you have a stand. And if you did this in these, you could do this in any color and rent these. Just saying. I have to show this one too before I put it on the... This is all aluminum wire and glue dashes. You got it? Now I would like, and you'll see what these stands are for because they're not for the aisle anymore. They're for your attendants and brides. So if we can have our attendants. This particular bouquet is 2 spirals made, and then I put them together and just added the long tail to it. And I thought that it was more conducive for something very simple, very clean, so the callas were perfect, showing the line of the Middlino. And this one goes in here. It really does go all the way down, just a little bit of work. This could be at the head table. So when your attendants and your bride get back from the church, what do they do with their bouquets? We used to do greenery in the oblongs, and you stuck them in the middle. Then we went to vases. There's all sorts of things, but to me, this adds to the decor. This bouquet was done with the 1-inch flat wire, and it's 3 levels. The inside is done, you take a piece of flat wire and you make an S, and it's all put together with glue dashes. I want to show this is from the front, but this is what you see from the back. This is so lightweight, and for the handle to make it nice and soft, do you ever use the insulation pipe insulation? It's got a split in it. It fits, you reverse tape, It fits right around. You reverse tape and then add any kind of finish that you want. And it feels so good for the attendant or bride to carry. And this goes in this one. Now our bride. Isn't she beautiful? This, obviously, I had a thing for flat cane and Middlino. I took strips of flat cane and I cut them. I started out with 14 inches, 13 inches, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, and kept going to get the V shape. Then I just cut random pieces of Middlino and I wired down the center first. I did it in 2 parts. Wired down the center where you wrap it around, add another, wrap it around. Then I wired the sides. Then I attached them together and made a little pillow underneath for her arms so it rests comfortably. And then we just glued on the orchids and hanging amaranthus. The inside has petaled leaves to cover up your wire, your mechanics. The hat, the fascinator, was also done the same way. I did a base of flat wire, and then I covered it with Middlino and E6000 glue.
Thank you.
And that's our bride. Let me have the bridal bouquet, sweetie. Woohoo, before you go away. I know you want to take it and you can have it later. And that is summer.
So we both collaborated on our next set, and that is fall or autumn. Very warm and inviting and very harvesty type of look. So let's open the curtains and see what we have back there. Again, we've tried to do something a little different than just using linens on the tables. Basically, a lot of weddings these days are changing from the round tables with linen on it. So we thought we would do something with an elongated or rectangular table, actually for all of our seasons that we've done. And instead of doing the traditional linen tablecloth, we thought we'd do something a little different on this one. It's beautiful mat that has been woven out of bear grass. There's chicken wire as a frame, and the bear grass and the lily grass have just been woven, and they're very easy to do a couple days ahead of time because the grass does dry very nicely, and it just gives a really nice kind of a harvesty, overgrown feel to our fall set that you see on the table. We made 3 for the table and 1 that would sit on the floor. That certainly has a nice rustic, harvesty feel underneath the large rustic urns that we have filled with the fall flowers. The urns obviously were used at the ceremony. They were on either side of the ceremony where the bride and groom took their vows, and we transported them to the reception to add to the decor. The trees that are on the table, the bride thought that the bare branches outside the church would be very nice at this time of the year. So we had those outside outside of the church, and they're fashioned out of manzanita branch, which is very popular. We use it a lot at work, where I work as well. And it's very popular to look through any type of bridal magazine, and you certainly see the manzanita branches. These have been fastened to probably about a 12 by 12 piece of plywood that gives it a really nice firm base. And a couple branches have been wound around there as well. We repurposed some extra pieces of curly willow that have been tucked in there as well. And then again, use some brown paint. You could use the wood tone, or the October brown works very well as well. And we painted it so it really has a nice October feel. Then we took them from the church to the reception and used them on the feasting table for the family, and added some flowers up into the trees, so it kind of gives you the look of the fall leaves. There's a little bit of brown cymbidiums up there. We actually took some kumquats in the garlands. There's a little bit of green and brown hypericum berry in there as well. And the scabiosa pods were very nice and plump, so they were very nicely added into there as well. And then since everything is kind of rustic and has a little bit of a rustic texture to it, the rolled lemon leaves really are a little bit smooth, so it has a direct contrast to the roughness of all the rest of the material. Underneath the table, this beautiful brown mosaic glass that came from where I work is beautiful, and it has a really kind of a smooth texture to it. So again, it really plays up against the roughness of all the grasses and things like that. The harvested feel underneath the table, there's some beautiful fresh eggplants, some beautiful kale leaves that we used, actually some of the kale leaves in here. It's fun to walk through the grocery store and just kind of look into the produce section and see what you find, and I never really saw any type of kale leaves that were so nice like that. So they're fresh kale leaves, and they're attached into the foam on the urns, and really gives a nice texture. I like the waffly look of this, really plays up against the smooth brown of the magnolia leaves. The foam is built up real high on the urn, so the flowers are really cut short, but they're going to last really nicely for you, especially being transferred from one place to the other.
I'd really like to show them the underneath side of the weaving just so they can see what the base is.
Sure.
When you're working with chicken wire, obviously you need gloves. But this is...
Here, show here. Here.
What we did...
Here.
Sorry.
You can see it here.
What we did was take chicken wire, fold over the edge, and there's a wonderful, it's not duct tape, but I think I found it at a farm supply. It's much heavier, and just taped it on both sides and left the end of the chicken wire about this much showing. And so when the girls started weaving, they could stick the bear grass in, and then they tied the ends with bear grass to make the fringe. This is, I will tell you, this is time consuming. One of the girls helping, Jackie, she was on the floor for 2 days, and she had a sign, "We'll work for food," and a little cup taped. People gave her money. And she deserved every cent. I feel like things like this, even though they're time-consuming, they're one of a kind. And it shows your artistic abilities. And I think if you can show that to your customer, and something like this could dry and still be used over and over. So for me, it's worth the time, but I like that kind of detail thing. So.
We tried to use a lot of materials in the fall set that would actually dry very nicely. The bear grass, the magnolia leaves dry very nicely. I think the kale leaves would kind of dry up there very nicely as well. The addition of the pods from the protea that we tucked into that as well really has a nice rustic feel. So it really kind of blends in there very nicely. We use, like I said, the fresh vegetables at the base, and again, some of the beautiful flowers that we use from our sponsor out of California, Cal Flowers. There's some beautiful Gerber daisies that really have a big, heavy mum look to it, so I thought that was really nice and appropriate. Some of these gorgeous black or hot chocolate callas that are actually one of my favorites as well, really blend in nicely. It kind of pulls the brown of the manzanita right down into the table. So it's a very nice harvested rustic feel. And instead of hiding, to hide the legs of the table, we use some of the manzanita branch that is with the leaves on it as well. We get, like I said, we use it a lot. We get it some with the fresh leaves. We get some with the leaves already stripped off. But when it comes in fresh, these leaves dry very nicely. And we just attached it right to the legs of the table. We were lucky because the legs of the table were brown, so if some of the brown shows through, it's all right too. But the brown bark wire that we used really winds around there very nicely, and all the mechanic is really, really hidden in there, and it's very easy to do. Since it is a lot of dry materials, it's very easy to do with them. Things like this a few days ahead of time, especially when you have several weddings on the weekend. It's always nice to have a lot of things done ahead of time. So that's our fall set. And of course, with every wedding, we have our attendants and our bride. So let's check out our girls. Let's go, we'll go one at a time. Okay. This really is a fun little idea we just came up with, and this definitely could be repurposed as a table centerpiece as well, because the stems could come out and the foam core box that has been covered with the orange carnation petals could sit right at the table. Or it could certainly be carried as a very unique bouquet. These peachy garden roses inside are just to die for. They're absolutely beautiful. They pull the color, the creaminess of the satin of the girl's dress into the bouquet very, very nicely. The texture as well is just very, very, very nice with the carnation petals. There's some of the scabiosa pods in there, and that really cuts right through the whole bouquet is the line of the millet or the ryegrass on the bottom. So it just has a very, very nice harvesty feel and really ties in nicely. It's not a real dark fall color, but it really blends in nicely with the cream tones of the bridesmaid's dress. A couple little adornments for her to wear. It's just actually a little costume jewelry with the orange beads that were already on it. So we added a few floral just by gluing it right onto it with some Oasis floral glue. We've chosen pieces that would be that would dry nicely and that would last nicely. The little Macara orchid or the little red orchid is going to last very nicely. So it's very easy to glue them right on. You don't have to worry about wiring it on as well. Some of the I think it's a protea foliage as well. It has a nice feathery feel, so a few little accents in there. And then this tiny little succulent, which is very pretty as well. Not only does it have the bright green in there, which pulls in the green tones, but there's a little bit of the cream tone at the end of the leaves as well. So it really, to me, it just coordinates very, very nicely with the beautiful cream tones of the bridesmaid's dress. And this is actually an artichoke that is grown on the stem. All the artichokes that we had, some of them were on these really, really nice long stems. So when you look into it closely, you could see the center of the artichoke, and it's just lily petals that have been stripped from the lily blossom and inserted into the cup of the artichoke with a few pearl pins to help hold it in. You could certainly glue the orchid or the lily petals in there as well. You could use cymbidium petals, but they weren't as loose or flowing as the petals of the lily. They're a little bit larger, so it showed up a little bit more. They're just pinned in there with the pearl pins, and I made it yesterday and sprayed it down with Crowning Glory, so it really, really lasts very nicely. Just a few little trims, some of the old jewelry that we have collected adds a nice little bling to the rustic feel of the artichoke. And with the stem on there very nicely, it's nice and secure and very easy to hold.
Okay, let's go, honey. Just a little bit of copper wire. This took approximately 11 rolls of aluminum wire, and what I did is I coiled it around a piece of PVC. I have this thing about PVC, evidently, and then took the coil off and then kind of spread it apart and kind of worked it together, and then I took metallic wire and I sewed it all together so it wouldn't come apart. The base was made with the heavier wire, and then I took foam core, made a fan shape, glued it on, and all of this detail work has beads, feathers, it's just a little bling bling. Copper, and I let it verdigris, and then there's a bouquet holder inside, and the handle's in there, and we just filled it in with the cymbidium and the crispidia and hypericum. And then we decide to add these feathers at the end. And both sides are a little bit different if you want to turn around. And once the flowers are gone, you still have a structure. You can buy fascinators online. They're wonderful. And this is the little base, and it was covered with feathers and the cymbidium orchid, and then we had some beads, actually, that came from Taos. See, actually, if you knew how many things that have been used from years ago, and it's been repurposed. So it's not just about repurposing from the ceremony to the reception, it's repurposing what you have in your garage or your basement or your attic. And a lot of this was repurposed that way. There's our fall bride.
I'll take it and I'll help you down the steps.
We'll be back. Oops.
Okay, so for our next set, obviously winter is the next season in line, and we both really like the most popular shades. We think when we think of weddings is the traditional white on white on white, and we've chosen to do white with a little bit of a silver accent, and we have some bridesmaids that match that as well, and we hear them rumbling around behind us, so I think that they're doing a good job. And we had a great stage crew to work with, and some of our pieces are a little heavy, but we really had a lot of help. And we really did a lot of things that I would do, or any florist would do on a daily basis who does a lot of weddings and things like that at their full-time job. So I really need to first thank the Philip Flowers that I work for, because they were very generous in helping me get to the stage with the props. So.
Yes, they were extremely generous for us.
So, with that, let's open the curtain. I think we're ready.
I think we are ready. Just a little something, something.
Our silver urns are directly in a perfect contrast with the sandblasted manzanita. The manzanita is very easy to use. It's very transportable. There's just some styrofoam underneath the manzanita branches, and they have just been dropped right into the styrofoam and really go in there very nice and easy. There's no foam in there, so that doesn't make it very heavy to transport from the ceremony to the reception area as well. The dendrobiums are the Hawaiian dendrobiums, so they're a longer variety. We inserted some glass tubes or plastic tubes on the end of the stem and kind of just wound the orchids around the manzanita branches, so it kind of just has a real soft feel. It's not a large, showy flower, but it really looks like some flowers that have just been vining up the natural manzanita branch. The smaller urns on either side are filled with the beautiful garden roses and hydrangeas, beautiful flowers from Cal Flowers that was our sponsor. There's some beautiful silver foliages in there as well that we've just highlighted with a little bit of silver paint. Some of the cedar is highlighted with a little bit of a whitewash paint as well. So that tones down the green and really helps it blend into the silver of the urns. The handcrafted pedestals that match the urns are just 2x4s in this 12x12 square or 14x14 square, covered in the sheet metal that really adds a nice touch to the urns. It really makes them a little bit more grander when they're up on the stand, but they're certainly grand when they sit on the table or on the floor as well. Again, I really like the opposites of the contrast of the really shiny metal against the moss that we circled on around our large spheres and did a simple, almost a topiary effect that we started with, but then we added some manzanita to pull some of the manzanita look down from the urns, and then actually just pinned on some of the bleached leaves and some of the dusty, or the skeleton leaves. There's a little bit of burro's tail in there, and it's very easy to use some pearl pins to just pin it right into the styrofoam. Something like this could just be done on the spot. If it is transferred, maybe you used it at the church just as the topiary form, and then brought it over to the reception and did the trim on it as well.
And these are in trays, so these come off.
Yes, the floral lifts out of those, and it's in a very nice flat dish that sits right onto the foam, and that makes it easy to transport during delivery and setup. And so obviously, you should add anything?
So now we have a wedding. I hope we have a wedding. We do have a wedding.
I pray you'll be alright and watch us where we go and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. When stars go out each night, let this be a prayer. When shadows fill our day,
lead us to a place.
guide us with your grace.
like every child.
Just like every child.
Please.
Needs to find a place. Guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be safe. And love that again, our entrance in God.
You get the girls.
Santo che ci
Come on. You stay there. I just want to tell you a little bit about these bouquets. Very easy. This one is a cone, just a styrofoam cone. What we did is cut the top out, cut a V, stuck in wet foam, covered it with marabou white fur, added this handle of aluminum wire. It's very light, and actually with the material we used on this, we didn't need the wet foam, so it would have been even lighter. The headpiece is done with a half of a circle, half an orb cut out, and just wrapped again with the marabou fur. We added felt underneath so it wouldn't slide on her head. There's aluminum wire coming around, tucked around and swirled around her hair, and the succulents and the orchids. This one took a little bit more time. This is flat cane, and all of those pieces were E6000 glue dashes, and again, paper clips, each piece. So yes, this is time consuming, but well worth it. And it was put on a fascinator, and the Duchess Rose was made. The bouquet, it's a base of chicken wire. And then we took the chicken wire and wove the flat cane through to make a base, then wound, just let it coil around, tucked it in. Everything is just tucked in this bouquet. As far as the wire, it's tucked into the chicken wire. Then we made the Duchess Rose, and what we wanted to show was that when they're walking down the aisle, you see the flowers front and back. So that when the attendants, or this could be a bridal bouquet, any of them could be bridal. And that's these two pieces.
And we're going to walk out. We'll walk out and I'll talk about it. And you stand and smile. Yeah, and you stand and smile. Okay, so I guess I'm the more traditional of the show, but I learned how to wire and tape flowers for a bridal bouquet a long time ago. And the focal point of the bouquet is glamelias made out of the gladiola petal with the little hairpins. I start with the little tiniest bud from the gladiola and just feed them into the larger blossoms all the way down the stem. Some of the petals have been glued to taped wire that really gets me an extension on the floral petals as well. So that really makes it easy to extend those out and get a nice sized glamelia. The magnolia leaves have been dusted with a little bit of silver paint. The stephanotis has some pearls in it with the corsage pin. Rhinestones would be very pretty as well. But we have tucked in a little bit of the some heirloom brooches and things like that. So we didn't want to take away too much from that by putting too many rhinestones in the stephanotis. It's just a little touch of the stephanotis with pearls. The rest is just wired and taped by itself. The Hawaiian dendrobiums really pull in nicely from the setting from the church and from the reception. Some of this silver dollar eucalyptus has been tinted and touched up with a little bit of silver paint as well. And then some of the beautiful roses mixed in there in the beautiful ivory shades. There's a beautiful white O'Hara rose. It's tucked in there that has a beautiful kind of a soft blush pink shade in there as well. So I think the mixed shades on that is really, really rich and really gives it a nice, a little bit touch of dimension as well. And it's a little bit heavy for her to hold, so I think that we'll let her sit down. She did a beautiful, we have a beautiful spray on the top as well, on a little headband that attaches very easily. A few smaller flowers like the glamelias are on there as well. A little touch of the rhinestones as well to pull that into as well. The dress, we wanted to keep the look of the bouquet and the headpiece a little bit more traditional, and we really wanted the dress to shine. There's a little bit of rhinestone trim on that as well. Lace is very, very popular. The ivory lace is a very popular look as well. So we chose a dress that is really showing what I think is pretty popular for the look of today.
Before we end, I'd like for our crew to come out, because when they say it takes a village, it's no lie. And these people worked so hard for us, and I feel that they need recognition. So please, will our crew come out and our fall bride? Come here, come here, come here, come here. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your time with us.
Lottie and Walter, we just want to say thank you so much for a job well done. I knew when this proposal came in that it was definitely a winner, so thank you. Thank you.
And a special thanks to Cal Flowers for sponsoring this program. They've done a wonderful job for us as always. We'd like to thank Monet Morales and Kim Kudo, both from Cal Flowers. Thank you very much.